Hey guys, I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing my kind of catch-up recent reads from February. Today I did January's last week or the week before. Whenever I post these videos, because I'm not sure when I'm posting them. But anyways, I did January's first. I'll leave that link down below. Doesn't matter what week I did it on. And yeah, today I'm going to be doing pretty much everything I read in February, which is quite a bit, and a few thrown in from March if I finished a series or something like that. So let's just get into it. I'm going to start from the lowest rated books up to the highest ones, and the first one I have to show you is The Witch's Tower. Sorry, I have to remember which side I put the camera on. I changed the direction. Anyways, it's The Witch's Tower by Tamara Grantham, I believe. This is a Rapunzel retelling. I got it off of Amazon. The ebook was free, so I just tried it. And basically in this one, Gothel is the main character. She's not an evil witch keeping Rapunzel trapped. Basically, both she and Rapunzel are trapped in the tower, and she's trying to find a way to break the curse of Rapunzel's ever-growing hair, which has basically trapped her to basically her bed forever. And then this neighboring prince and his squire stumble across their tower. The prince gets stuck in the tower, and then it's up to Gothel and the squire to travel to this place to get these magical items to cut Rapunzel's hair, which is like the only thing they can, and free them all from the curse. I gave this 3 stars. It was fine. I honestly was a little bored by it at times. The descriptions of the scenery and stuff really got in the way of the story a lot. The characters were fine. Pretty much the whole book was just fine. It was okay. It was a quick read. I read it quicker because I figured I wouldn't pick it up again if I put it down at certain points. I liked it best when the characters were interacting. It's kind of a quest story, which I do like. I like the kind of quest narrative of where a group of characters have to go to some place to get something, because I like usually the character dynamics and stuff. But this one, it didn't have much of that. When it did have the character dynamics, that was my favorite part. Most of the time it was just travel and a lot of scenery descriptions, and I was just bored a lot of the time. But I finished the book. It was fine. I would never read it again, but yeah, so there's that. And the second 3-star book, wow, sorry, lost my words, is Wild Blue, The Story of Mustang Appaloosa. This is by Annie Wedekind. I think this is a middle grade horse story. Sorry, the window definitely likes the glare of this cover. This is a book I read when I was younger, and I really enjoyed it, so I decided to give it a reread because I'm kind of going through a lot of my books and rereading them and giving them reviews on Goodreads, and then determining if I want to keep them or not. I'll have a video about that coming up fairly soon because I have quite a few books on that list. But this was one of them. This was also one of the books I had on my goals list to reread this year, and I ended up giving it 3 stars. It was okay. It's kind of in a similar vein to Black Beauty, where the horse is telling the story, but in all honesty, Black Beauty does it better. Yeah, it's just a short little book. It's just basically Blue is a Mustang. She's living on the range, and then she and her sister get captured by these rogue cowboys, and then a lot of things ensue. It is a modern tale, so, the BLM's involved and stuff. It's not historical or anything. But, yeah, it was just a quick read. It was a little more, I'm not sure what the word is, but bland. Bland really isn't the word, because I think if you, like these types of stories, or if you have a younger reader in your house who likes animal stories, this would be a great one for them. I think my tastes have just changed, and this one didn't live up to previous expectations of what I had for the book, so there's a little bit of that in there. So yeah, it was an okay read. I probably won't keep it, but I do really like the cover. The art is gorgeous, and yeah, it was just an okay read. I did enjoy it, and it was nice to revisit the story and kind of form an opinion of what I think of it now. So yeah, it was a decent read, and I would recommend it if you have like younger readers or people you're trying to get into reading. I would definitely recommend it for them. So okay, so now we're going to move into the 4 stars with a little bit of in between with some of them. I'll get to that when I get to those. And I did another reread of an old favorite of mine. That's Wild Horse Summer by Ryden. This is basically another middle grade horse book story where basically Allison is visiting her cousin and her family, her cousins and her family on their Wyoming ranch. I think, yes, they're in Wyoming. They're Wyoming ranch for the summer, and it's just her adventures of learning to overcome fears and just having a summer with wild horses in it. I mean, that's part of the title. And not much, I don't really know what much to say about this book without giving too much away. I really did like Allison. This was obviously a favorite of mine when I was younger, and it still is. It still holds up to that. Allison actually has some character growth, which, you know, sometimes in older middle grade books, there's really nothing happening. Characters don't really have growth, but Allison definitely did. You also seeing her reaction to her one cousin Kelly is blind, so there's a lot of like blind representation and just how she does things and stuff like that, which I really, really like, and it's done very well. There is one mention of horse evolution in here, which I was never a fan of. I mentioned the page numbers in my Goodreads review. By the way, I forgot to mention all of my reviews for these books will be linked in the description. So yeah, if you want to check out any of those and further content, check out those reviews, because I may forget to mention stuff here. So, especially because I read these a while ago. But yeah, it still held up well. I still enjoyed it, and yeah, 4 stars. And I will be keeping that one. Okay, the next one, let me find the cover for the first volume. I don't know where it is. This series I'm disappointed by, but also I really liked. In some cases, I'll explain that. It is the Dragon Knight's Beloved. This is the cover for volume 1. I read volumes 1 through 3 of this series. Let me find the cover for volume 2 because it's super cute. With the little baby dragon, that's volume 2's cover. And then we have volume 3. Okay, the very first 2 volumes of this series, actually, let me tell you what it's about first. This series is about our main character, Melissa here. She is just working as a maid at the castle in this fantasy kingdom, and her friend, Lord Hubert here, he basically has become the inheritor of his family's estate, and he is a dragon knight, which means he has bonded with the most, I guess she's like the most rare, most powerful dragon in this kingdom, and they ride like into battle, and they keep like the peace between the dragons and the humans and stuff. So he has basically inherited his estate because his older brother has died, and he needs to go back and inherit it. And he asks Melissa to come to his estate and pretend to be his lover, basically so he can avoid his older brother's fiancée who wants him to marry her. So that is a very, very basic premise of this series. Basically, it's that idea only lasts for the first 2 volumes and part of 3. I gave volumes 1 and 2 4 stars. I really enjoyed them. I thought they were cute. Melissa and Hubert's relationship was cute because they kind of are attracted to each other, but they're kind of ignoring that fact. It was cute. I really liked the dragons. The little baby dragon is really cute. It was just a nice read, and the art is really pretty. It's a very gorgeous art style. I really like it. And yeah, that's where basically... Yeah, because volume 3, I gave 2 stars, and I'm very disappointed by it. Basically, yeah, I don't want to say too much without giving spoilers, but there's a situation that happens at the end of volume 2 that I thought was going to be the majority of volume 3. It was literally like 2 chapters, and then they were done. And there was like a romantic confession in here, but it was just so bland, and the characters seemed to like lose their personalities, and the majority of this volume is talking about like dresses. I don't know what happened. I'm very disappointed. I really enjoyed it, and I was looking forward to continuing, but I'm on the fence now. If my library gets volume 4, I will probably still try it, but yeah, unfortunately this went from a series that I was really enjoying to a series that I'm uncertain about now, so, which is a really big bummer because I really like the premise of it, and I just thought the kidnapping angle, which was part of it, would go on longer, but it didn't, and I'm just disappointed, and yeah. Yeah, really pretty. This might work for some people, but I just don't know where the story's going now, and frankly, I am scared to continue in case I continue to hate it. So, yeah. Very disappointed in this one. And yeah, so my track record of manga has continued to not go well. Okay, anyways, the next one I read, well, I mean, these are vaguely in order of when I read them, was Ganbatte, I believe that's how you say it. The Ties That Bind Us. This is an anthology based on, like, anime-style storytelling and, like, tropes and stuff. I received this from one of the authors. She just gave me a copy because I was interested in it, and she was sending me one of her other books to read and review, so she didn't ask for a review, but I'm giving one, so there's that disclaimer, and if you can call it that. And a lot of these stories also have artwork that go with them, which is really pretty. I really like a lot of the artwork. Here's another one. So yeah, that was this is really good story. This covers a wide variety of genres. You follow a bunch of different types of stories, from like historical to fantasy to contemporary, everything in between. I really enjoyed this anthology for the most part. Most of the stories in the beginning of the book I enjoyed more than the ones at the end. A lot of the ones at the end I just didn't really care for, or they were just nah. You can, in my review on Goodreads, I list the stories I really did enjoy in this one, and yeah, I would recommend this if you're just looking for a bunch of different really good short stories. You don't need to know a lot of anime tropes to read this, because I am not a huge anime watcher. I'm pretty new to it, so I didn't recognize probably a lot of the tropes and stuff that they were using in these stories, but a lot of the stories stand fine. Actually, most of the stories stand fine on their own as just being great short stories, so I would still recommend it if you're interested in this type of thing, but yeah, and the artwork is just really pretty. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, enjoyed that one, and I'll just go ahead and show this one real quick because if you don't know, I live on a farm and we own a couple goats, so we're going to be having baby goats this year, which is hopefully is very interesting and goes well. And in that vein, I read this book, Goats Giving Birth, from my mom. She suggested I read it since I knew nothing about it, and I was just kind of like, yeah, I think I want to be prepared, so I just read this. I'm just mentioning it here because I read it. This is just different stories from this one particular goat owner. She's had a bunch of different baby goats over the years, and she just listed everything that could, you know, go right, go wrong with things like that, and it's just a good information book for that, and I gave it 4 stars. So, okay, on to that. Go to the next series I read. I'm just going to show you the omnibus picture, and that is the Magical Beings Rehabilitation Center series by K.M. Shea. This is the cover, the old cover for the omnibus. They have new covers now, but Goodreads doesn't update. Anyways, and this is a duology with also a short story anthology. It's the 3rd book, so it's technically a trilogy. And the first book is Vampires Drink Tomato Juice. The second book is Goblins Wear Suits. And the third one is The Lost Files of the MBRC. This is like I would call this like a cozy paranormal urban fantasy story. I don't think that's a thing. But basically the whole premise of the series is this high school student, Morgan, she stumbles across basically her school gets a substitute teacher, and she stumbles across the fact that their substitute teacher is a vampire. And he and his the person who's watching him is a werewolf, and she catches them arguing one day with her fellow student in his werewolf form. So they take her to the MBRC, which is the Magical Beings Rehabilitation Center, can't say that word, to kind of, they're planning on like wiping her memory, so she doesn't remember she saw them. But she ends up being a great asset to them because she is a human and she can teach all these beings how to integrate themselves into society, which is what the whole thing is about. They're magical beings who basically they determined that humans weren't going anywhere, so they're trying to rehabilitate themselves to interact with society and live in society as hidden supernatural beings. So she ends up getting hired instead of her memory wiped, and it's just her adventures in this different type of setting with all these different creatures. I enjoyed this series for the most part. I gave the whole thing 4 stars. I believe this one was one of the author's original or earlier series. You could tell by her writing style that she was still just learning how to write and stuff. Some of the areas are a little, at least with the first book especially, I noticed we kind of meandered a bit. The story kind of just went into different places and didn't always follow a set order. It got better pace-wise with the second book, and then the third book with all the short stories was actually my favorite of the series. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was really fun. I really enjoyed how she turned, the author turned like different aspects of what we know about in lore and stuff, like for example, one of the vampires is afraid of blood. So, you know, she turns stuff, expectations and stuff about these magical beings on their head and just has fun with it, and I really enjoyed that. And it's Camp Shea, so she writes really funny stuff anyways, and yeah, I enjoyed it for the most part. I own an ebook of it. It's not one I would buy as a physical copy, but I did really enjoy it. Okay. So, the next manga series I finished, I'll just talk about this. This is one of the ones where, like Dragon's Night Beloved, I finished the last volume in March as opposed to February. But anyways, and that is Fiancée of the Wizard. We have volume 3 and volume 4. I finished this 4-volume series. I overall gave all of them 4 stars. Basically, we follow this girl, Philomena, and she is obviously the fiancée of this wizard, who is her childhood best friend. And it's just their love story and also just the complications behind it of like he is the most powerful magical user. And then like, it's not really a spoiler because it mentions it on the back, but by the 3rd volume they get married. So they're also kind of hiding the fact that they're married because he fears that people will try to target her because of her, you know, she's married to him, so to get to him they'll target her. And there's just a whole bunch of things going on. She has been Philomena has actually been reincarnated from our world into this fantasy world. So there's some aspects of that going on. There is magic in this series, and it's just really fun, really great. I really enjoyed the whole series. I gave the whole series 4 stars, and I just really enjoyed the ending of it. The art is gorgeous. This is actually a manga series that worked for me, so maybe I'm not so hopeless on manga after all. But yeah, I just really enjoyed this one and was glad I could finish it. And yeah, eventually anyways, because it took like 3 months for me to get the 3rd volume, so it was like, really? But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's a really cute series. If you're looking for just like a light, magical filled kind of romance story, this is definitely the perfect one to try. And, okay, the last 4-star book I have to talk about is actually a 4.5-star book, and I kind of wish I still had it so I could show you the artwork, but I don't because there was a hold on it in my library, and that is Unlocked. This is Keeper of the Lost Cities, book 8.5 by Shannon Messenger. This, it's 8.5 because technically it's a guidebook for the series, plus a novella that takes place directly after book 8. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. The guidebook part was really fun. There was like extra illustrations in it. Guidebook was basically just about different things. It kind of compiled things from the whole series together, like how the world works, and each of the characters and like their abilities and what they can do and stuff like that. And I found it really helpful, especially the whole like how the world works and like how the elves rule themselves and stuff like that, because sometimes that stuff gets mixed up for me in the series. So I thought it was really cool. I know a lot of people on Goodreads were like saying the book was a pointless addition to the series and stuff, but I really enjoyed that part. I even showed it to my mom at one point because she's an artist, so I was showing her some of the artwork that they had in there, and she just thought it was cool. So it was a good way for me to share the series with her that I know she's never gonna read. So I was sharing a little bit about the series as we were looking through it and stuff. So it was really cool and really fun. And the novella kind of follows the events of how book 8 ended, which I can't say too much about it, obviously. But this time around, I will just mention in the novella, pretty much the whole series of Keeper of the Lost Seas, we only see Sophie's point of view. So in the novella, we were actually switching between Sophie and Keith's point of views. Keith is another character in the series, and I love Keith. So it was really, really cool seeing his point of view, because the only other time I'd seen it was a short story that was included in the edition that I own of Flashback, book 7, and I just really enjoyed it. I wish it was under happier circumstances that I could read his viewpoint. Yeah. So, yeah, it was just following the events of what happened, and I really like the author's decision to make it a novella and to show Keith's perspective, because obviously when we go to book 9, it'll be back in just Sophie's, but it was really interesting just because of all the changes and stuff that were happening to Keith himself. It was very interesting seeing his perspective on it, since, you know, it's directly happening to him, rather than seeing his attitude about it through just Sophie's perspective. So I really like that. I really applaud the author for taking that route, even if it might seem unpopular to people who just think the series is dragging on. But yeah, and I'm very excited to read book 9 when I get to it. I actually have it from the library right now, so hopefully I'll get to that one soon. And the last book, let me find the cover. Where is the cover? Here it is. Okay, so that was all my 4-star books. So now we're going to move to the 5-star ones. And the first one I have here is An Apprentice of Death by Nicki Chapelway. This is the first book in, I honestly don't know what the series is called. Is it just called An Apprentice of Death? I have no idea what the series is called, but the cover is really gorgeous. I really love it. I got an arc of this book in exchange for honest opinion, and I loved it. Yeah, basically we follow 2 characters in this series. It is a young adult, I think it's a dark fantasy. It's a young adult fantasy, and basically in it we follow 2 characters. We follow Wraith. She is a death elf. Basically, her ability is that she can't really, well, she can die, but her ability is the last person she touches, physically, like skin-on-skin contact, if she gets killed in any way, that person, the last person she touches, it could just be brushes somebody in the street, it could be somebody she touches directly, will die. So she is also she is an assassin, but she has this ability that obviously when she touches people, if she doesn't touch somebody else before them and she dies, she will come back to life, but the person that she last touched will die. Okay, there. I kind of remembered what was going on. Okay, sorry about the confusing explanation. I kind of forgot details on that. Anyways, she is sent by her, employer, more like slave driver, to basically go to this peace talk meeting between these groups of elves, because there's different houses and stuff. It's very similar to the Ravenwood Saga by Morgan L. Bussey in that sense, where there's different houses with different magical abilities. These are just different elves. There's also several human houses, and there's a dwarf house, but we didn't really get into those in this book. Mostly it's just the elf houses. And anyways, 2 of them are trying to meet and come to peace talks, but she has been sent there to infiltrate it and basically kill off everybody there, so there will be no peace. They will just continue to war. And she comes across also our second main character, Dirk. He has been sent to the same peace talks for entirely different reasons, and yeah, there's just things that go on from there. I really love this author's characters. She writes characters so well, and I love Wraith. I love Dirk. Both of them just captured me from the beginning, which is kind of interesting considering Wraith is kind of one of those tough girl assassin types, but she is also a really caring, really sweet individual, and I just love how the author is able to write these types of characters because she does it so well. I've very rarely found people or authors in books who can balance the tough girl side with also this kind of, you know, like, she likes pretty things and she has a soft heart type of angle, and yeah, Nicki Chapelway does that very well. I love that. And Dirk, I thought at the beginning from reading the back, he was kind of going to be this flirty type brooding hero that I would absolutely hate. And he kind of was, he wasn't very broody. He was a touch broody. Not very much though. And he did flirt a bit, but he had such an honest, nice, good heart, and it showed through, and I just love him. These two characters do very well together, and just, they play off each other very well. It was very interesting. I love all of her other characters too, even the bad guys, even though I really don't like them. But anyways, but the story was very interesting because at first it's almost like a quest story because you're going through this like magical woods, like a forest. Not wood as in piles of wood. Okay, whatever. I'm sure you're smarter to figure that out. Anyways, they're going through this magical forest, which could potentially kill them. They're trying to avoid that. So then they get to the peace talks, which is in a building. Basically, they're going to be closed in. Like, a magical thing is going to close them all in, and then once it's established, the peace and stuff, or the treaties or whatever, then the magic will be taken down and they can all leave. So basically, they're all trapped in this house together. And then it kind of turns into a Clue murder mystery. And it's a really weird combination when you think about it, but somehow the author balanced them and made them work, and just, you have our two characters who, yeah, one of them was sent in to kill people, but she's like, these people are dying and I'm not the one killing them. What is going on? And it's just different things are going on, and I really enjoyed it. I really want the second book. I don't think she's releasing the second book this year, but I really want to continue the series, really want to continue these characters. I'm happy, but also slightly devastated by how it ended. So yeah, I'm very, very excited for whenever she releases the next book, and I will be buying a physical copy of this book as soon as I can. Okay, and the last 5-star books, let me just check my list, yep. The last 5-star books I have to talk about today is the beginning of a series, and that is the Midnight Hour series by Makenzie Gray. The first book is Those with Ears, the second one is Let Them Hear, and the third one is Eyes to See. This is a Christian dystopian series, and it's a Christian dystopian series following the Revelation, basically time frame, Revelation end times time frame type framework. It's basically like Left Behind, but way better. Yes, I said that. I never read the adult Left Behind series, but I read the kids one, and this series is what I wanted the kids series to be, but it never was. And basically in this, you follow this group of siblings and their friends. Basically, they get left behind when the rapture happens, and it's their journey to discover God and what he wants for their lives, plus survive as basically the apocalypse happens, and you just follow their different adventures. Our main character is Takvi, I believe is how you say her name, and yeah, she just goes from a really hard, really stubborn girl to, I mean, she's still kind of tough and stubborn by the third book, but she definitely has a heart for others and is trying to do the best she can. You also follow perspectives of her brother Gnome, and later on in the series you also follow perspectives of one of their friends, Asher. So yeah, I really enjoyed this series, really like these characters and the way the author writes. This is a very hard series to read, especially the second book here. There's a lot of people who die in the second book. Not gonna lie, a lot of that devastated me, but this is a very, I would rate, if this was a movie, I would definitely rate these books PG-13. There's a lot of violence, there's a lot of just gritty, dark things happening with like government takeovers, and they're obviously unmarked. like the mark of the beast and stuff in Revelation. So there's that. It doesn't, I really also like how the author does not use, she doesn't adherently stick to exactly the Revelation mentions. I mean, she mentions them throughout, but it's basically a survival story of these characters who survived the rapture, or not survived the rapture, stayed after the rapture, and survived all the trials and stuff afterwards. So it's not like Left Behind where it's like minute by minute the same thing that's going on in the Bible. It's basically she uses that as a framework of what's going on in the background, but she's focusing in on these characters and what they are personally going through and the changes that the world's having on them, they are having on the world, stuff like that. And I enjoyed that so much more than how Left Behind handled it, at least the kids version. Like I said, I've never read the adult version. I really have no intention to because these are better, in my opinion. So, yeah, the third book, Eyes to See, actually just came out March 7th. So, it is the newest release. I will warn you, this one has a really bad cliffhanger. I'm still mad at the author for that one. So yeah, book 4 I think is coming out sometime later this year. So yeah, I have no idea how long the series is going to be. I highly recommend it. Just be warned, it is a little grittier than say even the like if you've read the Left Behind kids series, it's way grittier than that one, but the character development is so much better, these situations are so much better, more personal, and I just overall enjoyed it. I really love these characters, and I love to see where they're going next. So yeah, very, very glad I read this series, and I'm eagerly looking forward to book 4, if nothing else, just to fix this cliffhanger, because I smacked myself in the face with a book because I am so agitated. Anyways, yes, love that. Yeah, that is everything I read pretty much in like February / some of it was in March. So, yeah, those are pretty much my most recent reads, and yeah, as you can tell, some of them devastated me, some of them did not work out. I'm very sad about some of them, so on and so forth. Yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys, on anything that you're reading recently, or anything you've read, what books have disappointed you or anything. Yeah, anything you want to talk about, let me know down below in the comments. I love hearing from you guys, and yeah, there's not much else to say. I'll have probably another recent reads in a few weeks, catching up on the stuff I've read in March, but yeah, that's pretty much everything from January and February. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, you guys. You can like and subscribe if you want. If you don't. And yeah, I will see you next time, and thanks so much for watching. Bye!